It's the Seth Williams Show with Mike Kazoka. And here's your host, Seth Williams and Mike Kazoka.
Where everybody is on the chair, everybody at going to my mind's going blank now. What's happening? What, I can't remember. I'm gonna lose track. My mind's going blank now. What are you talking about? What the hell's going on here? Where the hell are we? My mind's going blank now. I can't remember. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. What am I doing here? My mind's going blank now. Where am I headed? I keep forgetting I'm president. Where am I? No idea. Last night on the television, I was on a telephone rapidly rising and with I don't know. COVID has taken more than 100 years. Look, here's lives reflected in the NHEI. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him in. We're going to seize the ill-begotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy. NATO's purpose is to defend against aggression. Let me make that near and dear to you that you like to be able to. Anyway, my mind's going blank now.
Boys are boys from the beginning. If you were born a boy, you stay a boy. Girls are girls right from the start. If you were born a girl, you stay a girl and grow up to be a lady. Everybody's fancy, everybody's fine. Your body's fancy, and so is mine. Only girls can be the mommies. Only boys can be the daddy.
Welcome to another Monday evening. Dude, I put a lot of work into that Biden song, and I'll tell you what, that's like 2.5 minutes long. I cut it off in a minute. But somebody did a lot of work for that. That was pretty entertaining stuff. Welcome to Monday. It's winter. This is a repeat because it's wintertime outside.
Every week has all four seasons. I've been saying that for 4 months, and it just...
I was sitting outside just a little bit ago, and it started to hail and snow while I was sitting on my patio. I mean, I have a cold, probably because the weather is the way that it's been. But so I decided I'm already sick. I might as well sit outside for a little bit and enjoy the ice cold breeze. And it was snowing and hailing as I'm sitting there.
I took my garbage out last night around 9:30. And it was 48 degrees. The high today was 47. 9 o'clock last night, it was warmer than all day today when the sun was out. That doesn't make any sense at all.
James, good to be back. Missed the last few weeks. Good to have you back, James. You didn't miss much, just a lot of arguing, yelling. So we're going to try not to do that tonight and enjoy our evening. We have the real John King. Why does he call himself the real John King?
We can ask him. I wondered that too.
All right.
I mean, when I met him 25 years ago, he was the only John King in the room. It's not like I was confused.
Yeah. But I guess John King is kind of a
common name.
Common name. I had an uncle, John King, who's no longer with us, but he was a good guy. So I guess there are other John Kings out there. So
I wonder if he's any relation to Kenny. Do you remember Kenny King? I
do remember Kenny King.
That was Colonel Sanders. That was KFC before KFC.
Yeah, I went to see a comedy show the other night at the Funny Stop. Now, this is a hell of a story. Dave Landau was in town. Right. Now, I wasn't as familiar with Dave as a lot of people are. I mean, I've seen some of his stuff, but I've never really seen a lot of his stand-up stuff.
Right.
I've seen him on TV on occasion, and he's a funny guy, really funny guy, Dave Landau. But he was at the Funny Stop all weekend long. But on Thursday night, he did something kind of different. He did kind of a meet and greet, kind of with the crowd, if you will, where he would talk to the crowd, see what's going on with the crowd, ask them questions, and then kind of be funny off of what they were saying. And then he at the end of the show, people would ask him questions, and it kind of went back and forth.
Right.
So it wasn't a typical stand-up routine; it was more off the cuff, going back and forth with the crowd. And I will say it was fucking hysterical, like really, really funny stuff. But one one thing, I mean, there was a lot of great points in this routine, but it wasn't routine. It was just talking to the crowd. But at one point, he talked to this couple, a married couple, and he's like, "How did you guys meet?" The whole back and forth routine, and they're like, "Oh, we met online." And he's like, "Well, what site did you meet on?" And it wasn't like Plenty of Fish. It wasn't eHarmony, good Christian people talking about meeting each other, and they wouldn't say, but he kept pushing and kept pushing, and eventually he gets it out of him that it was some sort of a kink kind of website. And he's like, "Well, what was it? What kind of fetish do you guys have that you came together on, to end up getting married and be together forever?" A rape fantasy is what they were into with each other.
Okay.
It took the entire crowd off guard, of course, because I don't know. I mean, I guess, each to each his own. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's...
I've never thought about that. I mean, I've never called you, Mike, and said, "Hey, Mike, you want to come over here? I got this thing I need done."
This is certainly a fetish that you cannot whisper your safe word.
Yeah, so it was interesting. It was interesting to say the least when these people were talking about their little fantasy.
Yoy.
But yeah, that was a fun show. I mean, that's the kind of comedy that I kind of like. Is that not everything was done with every joke written out, ready to go for the entire night? It was just kind of going off of what people were saying, and I thought it was hysterical. He was a nice guy. I got to meet him after the show. Our friend Chris Aiken actually does his website.
Oh, wow.
And does a really great job with that. I mean, he does a lot of great stuff, with all the websites and that he does. And it's kind of cool that he does that. Dave is a great guy and a good golfer from Jay. Hi, Seth and Mike. Great to see you and hear you both today. Love you guys.
Good to hear from you too, Natalie.
So, yeah, that was a fun show. That was, hanging out there. I haven't been to the Funny Stop, I don't think, in forever, to be honest.
Let me ask you, did you order any food from there?
I did not. I ate before.
And anybody that's listening, couple things. First of all, I'll be there Wednesday. I'll be there Wednesday at 8:00. I got a call from the Akron Comedy Festival, and they asked me to do a spot down there. So after we finish our show, I'm going to go out and do a spot in Cuyahoga Falls. But if you ever go out there to see a show, I don't care who you see. Pete owns the place, but his brother Tony in the kitchen. Oh my God, they turn out some pork chops that are worth going there just to eat pork chops.
I mean, the menu looked pretty good.
Yeah, their food's really good, and it's for club food, it's good food.
I did check it. We ate it on tap down there before we went to
okay,
and that's pretty good, pretty tasty stuff. But when I got there, the menu is pretty extensive for being a club like that.
Did you take? Well, you're familiar out there because you got family and.
Yeah,
you've been. You and Heather both are familiar with that side of the county, or of the state. Did you take Route 8 and get off by Broad Street in the river area? Because that is a pretty up and coming place. They have put a lot of money in there. There's some great clubs. There's some good restaurants. There's some outdoor patios. So all I'm saying is, if you ever want to go out there, folks, people go, well, it's a 25-minute ride out there. Yeah, but there's so much to do once you get there. You could leave at 4 PM and, hit a bar, have a really nice dinner, see a really good show, and then
Cuyahoga Falls is
a long ride home from a date if you guys like each other.
Cuyahoga Falls is actually a really nice area.
It is.
They have a Sheraton hotel right down there by a lot of those restaurants and stuff. It's a great little area. A lot of stuff to do down. It wasn't like that for a while. but they put a nice little amphitheater in there. They've done a
Yep.
lot of great stuff down there. So yeah, it's really nice. But yeah, the club is Pete. You said is the owner or
Yeah, Pete runs the place. It's been his. I'll tell you, 20, 25, 30 years, he's been in the business. It used to be Hilarities in Akron.
yeah.
But then when Hilarities, when Nick Costas wanted to just concentrate on the great club he built, as a matter of fact, it's our backdrop is East 4th Street. Pickwick and Frolic is now Hilarities. But when he decided to consolidate, Pete said, I'll buy my share out and keep the club open. Had to change the name, but Pete's been supporting comedians and launching careers down there since the days of Steve Harvey when he was just starting out. He's been around a long time.
Does he speak a lick of English, or is that
A lick? Yeah. And anybody that's ever been on that stage and hasn't like mocked the announcements part of the show,
yeah?
but his heart's in the right place.
Oh, you seem like a great
even though his
guy.
accent's off.
Some of the openers were, I guess, pretty good. I mean, Cleveland's got some
well-
local talent and stuff that is pretty entertaining. You know,
We can be honest. That's another thing I give Pete credit for. Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. A lot of people just starting out, a lot of, people that are opening acts and working their way up to MC and stuff like that. But the thing about it is, Seth, it is so hard to get stage time now as a comic. Back in the day, every Tuesday was amateur night. So if you were just starting out or just learning how to master your craft or write material or find your legs on stage, you could count on open mic night. But, now with the 2-drink minimum and ticket prices, they're going to squeeze everything they want out of that. And you usually get a better show. But Pete still keeps that window open for comics that are just starting out.
Did they have a 2-drink minimum there? I think I got away with it because I got a water, bottled water. So I guess it wasn't like a free water,
right?
And my wife didn't get anything, but maybe they felt bad for me because I had just like the one leg kind of thing going on. Like, here's the handicap guy going into a show, and we're not going to charge him.
I don't know.
But it was a good time. It was a really cool place and a lot of fun to actually see some comedy. I felt bad for the openers though, because they all looked like they had the same watch on. And like every joke that they told, they'd be looking down at their wrist going, is it over yet?
Yeah.
Or how much time do I have left? Because you could tell when some of them were running out of steam. Like some of them, they opened up like really strong with some really good jokes. And then towards the end of their 5-6 minutes, whatever they have up there,
Right.
all right, maybe I'll try to squeeze one more in. And there was like nothing going on. You could hear what the sound the walls were making because they started out really good and we're like, all right.
Well, it's like anything, when you're doing really, really well, 2 hours goes by, feels like 15 minutes. But if you're not doing really, really well, that 15 minutes seems like 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's the other way around. But again, like I said, it's a great portal into the business.
Oh yeah.
He's been really supportive. He's put the money back into the club since the last time he was there. He's remodeled, painted, that kind of stuff and things. And it's a good crowd down there. Cleveland's always been and the Cleveland area has always been a really good comedy city because here, if you make plans, get a date, go out, make the drive, have dinner, buy a few drinks, you came out to have a good time. It's not like you're in New York or LA where everybody sits there with their arms crossed and says, okay, we've seen everybody, loser, prove it to me.
Now,
here the audience wants you to succeed.
How tough is it to break into the comedy world, like big comedy world? So, I mean, you got these guys up there doing their 5-minute little opening sets or whatever they're doing. I mean, one guy just spent 5 minutes literally talking about taking a dump in the bathroom there. But so how tough is it for an up-and-comer to break into the business?
I think we've had some of the parallels on this show when we interview the bands. The days of playing clubs live, maybe being the opening act in a traveling show and getting some recognition, getting an album deal, Now, with everybody recording 5-minute songs on Spotify, one at a time, you have a hit or you have a video. You don't have an album. You don't have a show. You don't have, and there aren't a lot of places to go on tour and make that kind of money and do the investment. So I sit here fascinated when we interview and you ask guys stuff about the early days of radio and the way music used to be. Comedy's in a lot of ways, comedy's the same thing. Comedy's the same way. I'm finding too, there's an awful lot of people, for as many places as I played, for as many years I've been in the business, there's all kinds of people that are 20 something that I walk in and they have no idea. And they don't, and club owners, it's the same thing. So I'm starting out all over again and proving my stuff and working from the ground up.
Is May night the charity night there?
Yes.
A week from tomorrow?
Yes, I will be there. I'm going to be there just for a short set Wednesday night and then Tuesday for the East Palestine show.
I'm hoping to make it down there to that one. I think that's going to be fun. So, like when you were starting out as a comic back in the day, I would assume that would be what, the early 80s?
Mid 80s. Yeah.
With the with Sam Kinison and that kind of thing. Like, how tough was it to get in, or were you just what did you start doing before you ended up becoming like a comic with Sam of all people?
Well, the Comedy Store was the portal into the business. You got hired. If you got hired as a doorman at the Comedy Store, you had to work there every night, 5 o'clock till 3 a.m. And what you did as the doorman is you sat the room. Now, there were 3 clubs in the club. The original room, the main room, and the belly room was upstairs. But you would seat the main room, and it didn't pay but $20 a night. We made our money seating the room Las Vegas style, which meant people with tips got to sit up front, and you never knew who was going to be in the main room that night because in the day, Dangerfield, Robin Williams, Sam, Rodney Dangerfield, everybody would do time there. Everybody that was in town, it was LA, anybody that was working on new material. When Richard Pryor, before he put his comeback album out after he had the accident, he was there like every night working on new jokes and working on stuff. And, Jimmy Walker used to go up there with notes and write stuff on stage. That didn't work. So everybody used it as kind of like a laboratory. The reason why we put up with being doormen is because with 30, 40 comics set to go up that night, because you only did 10-minute sets, a lot of comics, because it was the mid-'80s, were a little drunk or a little high or weren't there or with a waitress someplace or busy. Let's put it this way. They were busy. So they would miss their set. And three names down the line, if so-and-so wasn't there yet, you kept your eyes open. And if he wasn't in the building when his name was called, if you were a doorman, you could run up and do his time. So that's how you got made. And Mitzi would sit there and watch the shows. And after a couple times of, learn it, so she'd pull you over and make you a regular. And then you were part of the rotation. You got scheduled, and that was your way into show business. And then from there, somebody from Carson would invite you to the Tonight Show. That was the ladder of success back in the day.
Now, Mitzi, was that Pauly Shore's mom?
Yes, absolutely. Pauly was just a little boy. We used to babysit him.
That's unbelievable. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, like, who are the guys that you would hang out with at the club? Like, who are the up and comers when it was Walker and Pryor and Dangerfield doing that? Who are the up and comers when you were doing it?
A lot of guys that have that turned out to be writers, Odekirk and guys that wrote for Seinfeld and guys that wrote for Saturday Night Live. You name it. There wasn't anybody that was performing that, didn't hang out there. And not only on stage, but in the back there was a driveway that nobody knew about, and that's where the comics parked their cars, and that's where we'd stand around outside and pass a joint around and talk about your actor, talk about stuff that they'd heard you say on stage. I had George Kirby tell me, bring your own, if you're going to hit, once you go out on the road, make sure to bring your own shit. Because for those of you that don't know, George Kirby got arrested in the 50s and did some time because he was in a town in Alabama and asked somebody to go buy him something. And the guy went and told the police and he got busted for it. So you learned all the ins and outs of the business.
Did you know Hal Spear?
No.
I think he wrote for like Arsenio and he did a couple of sitcom stuff. I actually, but he was a comedian, I think, back in that kind of era.
Arsenio was there. Paul Mooney was there. Paul Mooney wrote a lot of for Eddie Murphy.
Hal Spear actually gave me his coffee table.
Did he?
It was like this big marble coffee table. The thing had to be worth a ton of money. It was a gorgeous marble block, and it was beautiful. And my wife made me get rid of it because we had our daughter, and it had corners on the end that were sharp, and she didn't want my daughter to get hit in the head. But I was so pissed. I was like, "What are you doing?" Let's see here. We got some questions for you. So let's
sure.
Mike, ever tried to be a comedy writer?
No, actually, I have not. I worked 45 weeks a year when I was on the road. And then I quit when I started practicing law, and I didn't do any comedy except charity stuff to raise money for causes here in Cleveland. And now that I'm not doing any law at all, I want to get back to going back out on the road. And then I left a year before Sam got killed. I left the Outlaws because, quite honestly, we had all kinds of opportunities. We had all kinds of auditions. We had all kinds of people interested in projects. We had people who wanted to do it, but we never made it to any of them because a couple members of the Outlaws wouldn't go to bed till 5 o'clock in the morning, and we slept through all the meetings. I am very fortunate. I'll be real honest. I do not have an addictive personality. I could party, but the next day, if there wasn't anything to party with, I was okay with that too. Some people were a nervous wreck until it was party time again. So I decided I would make a move and go to Florida. And I moved to Florida right about the year that everybody that had a club in Florida put their club up their nose. And one winter, I was booked for a week in Atlanta at the Funny Bone there, and it snowed in Atlanta. It snowed this much. It snowed that much in Atlanta. And the whole city shut down.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And they closed the club. They said, well, we can't, we're not going to put you up. Nobody's going to come out. It might snow again this week. And I hung up the phone and went, son of a, because there's, X amount of dollars out the window. And I got a call from an agent that had been coming to see me at the Comedy Store. And he said, well, you're not going to Atlanta. Do you want to go work a cruise ship to the Bahamas? Yeah, okay, I'll do that. And I did 8 years on the ships. So
what was it like working with Sam? Like, what was he like? Sam Kinison. What was it like working with him when he wasn't on stage and on stage? What was he like?
Pretty powerful dude. Pretty deep. Hell of a soul. Hell of an imagination. Everybody knows he was a Pentecostal preacher. He was a full-blown. He would have been just as amazing if he'd have stayed at that too, because his dad was a preacher. But anyway, I got to be friends with Sam because one night he and I started talking about things that happened in Gethsemane. And the question was, what was it that made Jesus come this close to going, that's it. No, I'm not doing it. And that discussion took 3 days. At his house, on and off for 3 days. And by the time the thing was over, he liked a lot of the humor I did when I got back off the cruise ships because I was talking about real life. So, but he had a great sense of humor. He was pretty powerful. He was half man, half party. And here's the metaphor that nobody knows about, because you work radio. You know what it was like when MMS says so-and-so's coming to town. Just imagine Sam Kinison, the Outlaws of Comedy, are coming to Detroit on Tuesday. We're going to show them the best party anybody's ever seen. So we would get to Detroit. Everything was free. Everybody that shook Sam's hand put something in it. We'd party in the green room. We'd party after the show. We'd drink like there was no tomorrow. Everybody in Detroit and everybody at the radio station for the whole rest of the week. Oh my God, I'm still hungover. I'm still high. That was an amazing party. Can you believe that party was just, we showed him. No, you didn't. Because the next night we were in Cincinnati doing the same damn thing. So where every city did their once in a year party, we had 6 of them a week.
That sounds amazing though.
Well,
or did it get old?
No, well, it didn't get old for a few years, but that's what made me decide to move to Florida and see if I could go out, on my own. I actually was kind of cool because I had a serious talk with Sam the night I told him I was leaving the Outlaws, and he looked at me and he points over his shoulder, and there's a whole house full of, entourage type just hanging out and hanging on. And he looked at me and he said, dude, I've helped an awful lot of comics. No one has ever looked at me and said, thanks, bro, for all your help. I'm going to take what you taught me and go out on my own. He said, you're the first comic to just go out on his own. Gave me a big hug. And then the next year for his birthday, I went back, and that Life magazine picture of JFK sitting on the edge of the bed and Bobby sitting on the edge of the bed leaning over, it was taken during the Cuban Missile Crisis. I got an original of that and gave it to him for his birthday, and that was way cool.
Were you around when he passed?
I was in Florida when he passed. It took me a day to get there. I mean, I was there for the services and all of that stuff and things, but Sam had his own personality. Robin was brilliant. Everybody knows that. But Robin had the same gift Milton Berle had. Milton Berle had a photographic memory. Now, this is a true story. We're sitting upstairs because there was a balcony in the Improv. And it was political back then. If you played the Comedy Store, you couldn't play the Improv because Mitzi and Bud Friedman, who owned the Improv, were not exactly best friends. And they each had their stable of comics. Well, we had gone over to see Robin because, only a few people, Robin Williams, Bill Hicks, Sam Kinison, they could play both clubs. They were bigger than big. Dice Clay, they could play both clubs. But we're sitting there having pizza, and Robin told this story about how he got dicked around that night with the agent and shows and the money that was promised. Yeah, Robin Williams is telling the story about how the agent tried to pull a fast one on him, and he caught the agent. So everybody's sitting there, nobody knew what to say. I looked at Robin and I said, well, bottom line is, joke them if they can't take a fuck. And he laughed. Ha ha ha. I saw him 3 months later at Universal Amphitheater. He closed his show with that joke.
Wow.
So it was pretty cool to hear that. But by the same token, what I'm saying is he never forgot a thing. Every other comic knows that all day long shit pops into your head. You don't have a pen. You don't remember it. You don't write it down. It comes and goes. But he just, the other guy that was amazing, and I would put in Robin Williams' class, I think the two of them were the most alike, was Jonathan Winters. Jonathan Winters, same thing. Amazing characters, voices, concepts, fast, improv, all that kind of stuff. Went with Sam to Robin who am I talking about? To Jonathan Winters' house. His wife opens the door. We come in. She goes, he's in there. And we open up the door to this room that is like ballroom size, dining room kind of thing, whatever furniture's in there. Anyway, the room is full of model trains set up everywhere, all kinds of model train setups and stuff like that. Robin Williams is on his knees on the floor playing with one of the engines. And we walk in, and Robin looks up and says, $10,000 worth of trains in here. And can you believe she won't let me play with them? Shakes his head and goes back to playing with his trains. But the same kind of characters, you know, they were gifted. Sam had a really serious side too. The other thing though about Sam is amazing. As much as the 80s were what the 80s were as far as partying, I could never do that on stage. Sam could wake up. Sam, get up. Sam, they're in it. And he would hear the music. Ladies and gentlemen, come to the stage. And he'd like stand up, look around, shake his hair, walk out on stage, and destroy an audience. Walk back off the stage, go right back to sleep. He was phenomenal at being able to do that kind of stuff.
Now, what were guys like Robin Williams and Winters and Kinnison like? Is everybody always on? Or are they actually like normal people when they're sitting behind the stage?
There are a couple of things about comics in a circle or in a room or at a party together. Comedians don't sit around and laugh hysterically at everybody else's material. What a comic will do is sit there, and if you come up with something brilliant, just like shake their head, look at you and say, that's funny. And that means as much as getting every one of them to like laugh and pee themselves and stuff like that, because you got to understand with a comic, especially if it's a brilliant joke, which means it's right there everywhere and nobody else but you got it. So there's that little half of you that goes, wow, that's really good. And then the other half wonders, why didn't I think of that? Because it's right there. I'll give you an example. It's a joke I can't even do anymore. When I moved back to Cleveland, one of the things I started doing on stage was the following joke. I go to an Indians game. There's runners on second and third. Manny Ramirez on his way up to the plate, and the organist plays. That's the cavalry charge. We are the Indians. And the audience would laugh at that because nobody else ever sat at the ball game and said, they're playing the cavalry charge, we're the Indians. And saw the irony in that. So it's that kind of stuff. I said hello to Johnny Carson. I didn't know him. I didn't meet him. And that's why I don't have a Johnny Carson set in my resume. As a matter of fact, he quit right when it was like make or break. And then, like I said, and you asked Pete down in hilarious. Pete at the Funny Stop still bust my chops. He said, you should have never quit, dude. You were right there. You should have never quit. But that's why I still go back to Pete's Club.
Question for Mike. How long should a comic try before understanding that they just don't have it? One of the comics Thursday had a well-developed set but wasn't good. How do you know when to quit?
For a lot of comics, they don't. And again, I'm going to draw the parallel to music. And the reason why I think I can do that is when I toured with Sam, we would close the show with music. The Wild Thing video that we did with Jessica Hahn, Google that, watch that. I'm in it. I'm in that video with everybody else in rock and roll in that video. That day, 2, if not 3 of the musicians came up to me and said, I don't know how you guys, meaning comics, do it. I go out there and play a stadium full of people, but I could never go out there by myself. I'm out there with the band. You guys just take a microphone and walk right out on stage. Now, okay, that's the musician's perspective. But the comic's perspective is this. If you are any well-known, everybody knows band, you come out and you play the first 3 chords of It's Only Rock and Roll, Sunday Bloody Sunday, We Are the Champions, you name it. And any song, any band plays the first 3 chords of their opening number, and the whole stadium stands up with lighters. Ah! No joke is that funny. No comic has ever walked out in front of a stadium like the crowd behind you there and said, 2 guys walk, and don't even get the rest of the sentence out, and the whole stadium goes nuts. That doesn't happen to a comic. So it's kind of an interesting, and the cool thing about the 3 years that we toured as the Outlaws is every city we were in, whoever was playing live joined the show Friday, Saturday night and played the late show. We closed every one of those shows with music. So I got lucky and got to know, I saw the first time I saw Van Halen was at the Troubadour, and they were practicing because they were playing their prom the next week. Or I'm sorry, graduation. Dice did it with Nursery Rhymes. You know who else was brilliant? Stephen Wright.
Yeah, I've heard. I mean, I like some of his stuff. He's got that kind of sense of humor. I dig.
Yeah, you can just Google his list of one-liners or his list of jokes. It's just really good stuff.
I mean, I don't understand some of the comics that are out there today. I didn't understand.
I don't either.
I can't remember what this one guy's name was.
I don't.
Is
either.
that
that's why I don't like.
forgettable.
That's why I don't like that whole PC cancel culture. I am not half of what a lot of people think I am politically when it comes to the social crap. As many times, and we're not going to go deep into this, but I have said, the left and the right are wrong. We got to meet the left's thing is in the old days. Well, let's start with this. The number one watched TV series still, well, maybe it's been passed, I don't know. But 10 years ago, the number one TV show was still The Honeymooners with Ralph Cramden, who came home every week, made a fist and said, "Oh, one of these days, Alice, to the moon." And could you even pitch a show to HBO where the guy raised his fist and looked like he was going to punch his way? No, of course not. But you can see a 13-man daisy chain, full frontal nudity take place in a prison, and that's okay. That you can watch on HBO. But you can't tell a joke where, somebody, and, Don Rickles, people would go to his show, and if he didn't insult their ethnic group, they were pissed off that he overlooked them. Rickles, how could Don Rickles make it in today's? So I don't like an awful lot of comedy, and I don't like an awful lot of the 99% of us having to walk around on eggshells so that 1% doesn't feel nervous or, uncomfortable.
I can't remember the damn name of the one guy. I just never understood. He was in a movie or some crappy movie, but I never understood Taylor Dane.
Yeah.
Dane Cook. Never understood that guy. Cook. But like Kevin Hart, I can see doing like an actual stadium tour. Right. Seinfeld, I always liked Seinfeld, the show, but never really got his comedy necessarily. His stand-up, I thought was kind of boring to me. There.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how certain comics make it and certain comics just don't. It seems to be like a very tough field to get into. I mean, do comics rip off jokes and what are they? I mean, are they jealous of other comics? How does that work?
In the old days, that was a good way to end your career because you weren't allowed to record. Nobody had cell phones. But I will tell you this, I would headline all over the country, and I would end up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and the guy who was the middle act featured for me in Boston, and I'd come out and hear a couple of my jokes. I would hear a lot of comics jokes on stage. Sam's attitude towards all that was, it's God's way of telling you to write new shit. Somebody steals your joke, get rid of it, let it go.
Like everything of writing a book.
I wanted to write a book about the stand-up part and the stuff the way cruise ships used to be and call it Ship Happens. I had the title, but not the book because, there's some pretty interesting, and I've said this on stage. I still say this on stage. And this is where my faith comes in. I've been to all 50 states 50 times. I've been to 48 foreign countries. The more you travel, the more you realize we are a lot more alike than we are different. But the humbling thing as an American is when you get off the ship and you walk into port and you're in the city and you're on the street and these little kids will come running up and you see them and they're all chattering away and you get that look on your face that makes them go, oh, you're an American, you only speak English. And then they start instantly speaking English because all the little kids all over the world know 2, 3, 4, 5 languages. It's amazing. It's also kind of weird to go to Boston and see, graveyards with tombstones that have 1612, 1585, and go, oh my God, look at the history. Look at this. How amazing is this? And then you go to Rome and you look up on the building that you're standing next to, and the cornerstone says 947. 947. It's 600 years older than anything we've done here. So yeah, there's an awful lot of stuff around the world that's
all the places you've been, and you settled in Cleveland. Sorry about that. Worst huge name comic that keeps getting giant gigs, Amy Schumer.
Yeah.
I never understood her either. I mean,
there are an awful lot of people now that have careers that just need therapy.
Jim Brewer, underrated. Love him.
Yeah. A lot of the outlaws that aren't any more famous than I am. I mean, Mitchell Walters, Alan Stephen, Jimmy Schubert, Sparky. Those guys were all funny, still damn funny. Carl LeBeau was Sam Kinnison's best friend. He passed. Bill Hicks. Boy, if you don't know who Bill Hicks is, Google him. Find it out. I often wonder when things come up or shit's in the news, how those guys would think about some of the stuff that's going on now. But that's why I'm here. I'm gonna.
How big was that tour back in the day? You, the Outlaws, and Sam, and
we were the third largest grossing tour of the year, behind somebody else and Fleetwood Mac. The only difference being Fleetwood Mac did, I think, 48 dates that year. We did 187. So it's a relative thing. Like I said, when I was talking about the party of a lifetime week, Monday through Friday.
This is great. I mean, we got a lot of questions coming in. I'm going to keep asking them.
Cool. Go right ahead.
The thing that sucks, though, is you're going to have to ask the comedian coming up at 5 all the questions because I'm running out of them myself.
Fair enough.
Asking like a real comedian. So,
John's a great guy. I want to talk to him.
Mitch Hedberg.
Don't know. Don't know him.
Have you met George Carlin?
I met George Carlin. I don't have a long history with him, but George and you gotta understand, Sam was really cool. Everybody would come to see Sam. Everybody got invited to Sam's house. Everybody would go to Sam's parties. And Sam was really good about, oh, here's my outlaws. These are my guys. And introduce everybody to everybody. So it's not like, we had to leave the room when famous people came over because we weren't Sam Kent. We were just friends. That's the way it was back then.
Why did SNL stop producing elite comics / movie stars? I agree. I mean, SNL used to be like the shit back in the day, and now it is shit.
It was.
And I don't understand it. I mean, the biggest star they have right now is a guy that was on Nickelodeon.
I know.
What do you think happened with SNL?
Or you think
it's just the comedy culture of today?
Lorne Michaels kind of screwed Sam over, and Sam actually, was inebriated enough to screw Saturday Night Live over. So that didn't go as far as it would have, could have, and should have. I will tell you this, and if you think about it for a minute, you'll understand why. Michael Keaton played Beetlejuice, had the lead in Beetlejuice. They wanted Sam for that. That would have been a perfect vehicle for Sam. But you gotta sober up enough to go to this shit, to get the shit.
Man, it's kind of sad when you think about it because he was a talent.
It's bittersweet.
You think drugs and alcohol destroyed him?
You know what? This is. I will tell you the story that broke Sam's heart about becoming famous. Sam was a preacher. There's an awful lot of angst and an awful lot of the questions about. One of the things about being a comic is you have to have a little bit of empathy for the people that get fucked over in the world. And you also have to have a keen awareness of the incongruity, what's not fair, what doesn't fit together, what doesn't work right. That's where comedy comes from. Sam took his faith and philosophy and theology seriously. And when Rolling Stone magazine told him, well, we're going to do a thing, we got this whole thing, we're going to concentrate on your scream and so on and so forth, and this, that, and the other thing, and we're going to call you the beast of comedy. And Sam was like, no, you do not want to be known as the beast. It was deeply offensive to him. They did the photo shoot. He did the interview. Didn't want to, didn't trust him. And if you look up that Rolling Stone cover, big white cover, Sam with a scarf and his long trench coat and his hat, and it says the beast, Sam Kinison.
Oh.
It's everything they promised him that they would not do. So things have always been that way with the media, with the star-making machine, with the powers that be, with all the stuff that I get in trouble over. But I learned my lessons, and I know what I'm talking about. It's just, I got back into this because the times are calling for it again. The George Carlin's material is as relevant today as it was back then. As a matter of fact, if he'd have saw the shit that was really coming, because nobody had cell phones and nobody saw and AI is just around the corner, it's going to be an interesting world. And I'll tell you something else. I will tell you something else. My new material, my new inspiration, and the stuff that I've been writing and trying to develop material about is Snapchat. You can say what you will about kids being confused about their gender and where did that come from all of a sudden. You know anything about that app?
Oh, yeah.
Seth?
Yep.
When you got a 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old kid that with a push of a button can turn themselves into a girl, they don't know any better. They think it's real. And if they're not the fastest, strongest, athletic, well-liked, yada, yada, yada boy, I can see real easy how they can go home and make friends and spend more time with their alter ego on that phone who is a girl. And there's also that app we talked about a couple months ago where you can have an imaginary friend on the thing and so on and so forth. When you put those things in the hands of 4, 5, and 6-year-old kids, oh my God. Shirley Temple, that was child pornography back in the day. It was. The little stuff she had to do, put this on and dance for the whole room. There's just so like I said, but anyway, that's where the stuff comes from. And the other thing I think is there was no such thing as, gender fluidity until we invented Crocs. I think those shoes are responsible for it because I don't know a real man that's ever gotten laid wearing Crocs.
Yeah, I certainly.
And if you told your dad, if I came into the room and sat down at dinner and said, "Dad, today I identify as a woman," my dad would have looked at me and said, "That's just a Croc."
All right, we got to take a break, my friend.
Right.
Appreciate you talking all that stuff. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to have comedian, the real John King, coming up around 5 o'clock.
Cool.
That was fun, though. I appreciate you opening up about all that stuff.
Hell yeah. I liked it
It
too.
was good. All right, so hang on, and we will be right back.
What's going on, everybody? It is Chris Aiken back once again with another edition of the New Music Moment right here on the Seth Williams Show. And today I'm going to go with a band that's actually 10 years old, but still a lot of you are just now discovering, if you've even discovered them yet. The band is called Dorothy, and there's a theme here. I am a huge sucker for the female-fronted rock bands. I love them all. I am really a big fan of the way chick rock has formulated into today's world. I love it. And this is no exception. But Dorothy is actually a band as well as a person. Dorothy, the band, has been around since 2013. They're based out of Los Angeles. But it's only been recently that they've been getting a lot of notoriety and a lot of run. Their new album came out in 2022. It's called Gifts from the Holy Ghost. And this is the breakthrough record, I think, for this band. They've had a few records that are out there, but they really seem to have broken through with this record, or to be breaking through, I guess, because they're not all the way there yet. But they are led by Dorothy Martin, who is the Dorothy in the band Dorothy, I guess. And she rules. What a great voice. I would say, just a personal opinion here, but I would say that Dorothy is very much being groomed by the industry to be the next Hailstorm. Really seems like the same trajectory. It's either going to be Dorothy, or it's going to be I don't know, maybe The Warning might be another one that could possibly fit into that category, or obviously Taylor Momsen and the Pretty Reckless, because they get a lot of love. But for Dorothy, this new release is, I believe, their third album. A lot of big names wrote on this thing and played on this thing. Chris Traynor, Jason Hook from Five Finger Death Punch. Trevor Lukather wrote a bunch of stuff on this thing. He's Luke from Toto's son. Zach Malloy from the Nixons, and now who's becoming quite a famous producer, worked on this thing as well. It's got great production. Chris Lord-Alge did the production work on it. It's a fantastic album, fantastic band. If you like this kind of stuff, then you will definitely like this. If you're into that whole Hailstorm sort of thing, or Evanescence, or those kind of bands, then there's no doubt that you will like Dorothy. So let's check out a little bit of music from Dorothy. This is a song called Black Sheep. It's Dorothy from Gifts from the Holy Ghost, right here on the New Music Moment on the Seth Williams Show. All right, everybody, what'd you think of that? Good stuff, right? That, once again, is the band Dorothy. The name of the album is Gifts from the Holy Ghost. It is out there now. It's been out since 2022. So it's been out, I don't know, about a year, maybe a little longer, probably a little bit longer than a year. But still, most people aren't hearing it. So you're hearing it. Hopefully not first time here on the Seth Williams Show, but if it is your first time, make sure you go over to whatever streaming service you use and check out the whole album. If you like it, buy it. Help these guys out, all right? And that's going to do it for this edition of the New Music Moment right here on the Seth Williams Show. Make sure you check me out on all my other stuff, whether it's Chris Aiken Presents, chrisaiken.net, or if you like the dirty comedy, the Howard Stern, Opie and Anthony type stuff, go over to theclassicmetalshow.com. Every single Saturday from 9 p.m. till 3 a.m. Eastern. It's a long show. It's dirty, but it's funny. So check it out. And like I said, that's going to do it for me for the Seth Williams Show. I have been Chris Aiken. And guess what, folks? I will be again tomorrow. See ya. What separates Triv's restaurant in Strongsville from everybody else? Some restaurants you go to eat the same thing over and over and over. But then there are restaurants like Triv's where you want to go there every single time and eat something different until you have eaten every single item on the menu. Why? Because the food's delicious and it has been for almost a quarter of a century. Triv's has amazing food, outstanding service, and an opportunity for you to have private dining, special events, and intimate occasions. You can enjoy a memorable fine dining experience in your own dedicated, intimate space. Visit Triv's in the heart of Strongsville. Call now for reservations, 440-238-8830. Triv's in Strongsville. Joe Burdick custom flags are amazing. Each flag is handcrafted to reflect the imperfect perfection, making each piece of patriotic wall art unique. This is a local small business, veteran-owned and proud. Joe Burdick creates symbolic artwork that is built to last. Display your spirit, pride, and patriotism by calling 440-305-2065 and let Joe's flag serve you. 440-305-2065. Joe Burdick Flags. Let me introduce you to Charlie's Auto Repair. Any car, any truck, any problem, Charlie's does it right. You know how it is. The check your engine light comes on, you put air in the tires, and the light is still on. 216-470-0170. That's Charlie's Auto Repair, 13728 Madison in Lakewood. Charlie can do it all, from small engine repair to fleet maintenance and system diagnostics. 216-470-0170. Charlie's Auto Repair. Let Charlie make your car great once again.
Right back here on the Seth Williams Show with Mike Trasalka. People enjoyed that last hour.
So did I.
Gold, Mike. That was awesome, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Good segment. Like it when the show flows smoothly. There you go. We have some time, I guess. I don't know when the real John King is supposed to join us here in just a couple of minutes. We're coming up on 10 years, if you could believe it, of the Amanda Berry, Gina DeJesus, Michelle Knight, I think she's called Lily now.
Yeah.
Finding them in that house of horrors, if you will, with Ariel Castro. Do you believe it's been 10 years?
No.
I think next Monday actually is the 10-year anniversary.
No.
But I cannot believe it's been 10 years since that happened.
You sent that story. We mentioned the anniversary. The Channel 3 News photograph, had the pictures of what they look like as teenagers.
Yeah.
And then pretty close to today, the young women that they've grown up to be. But I First of all, I couldn't believe the fact that everybody living on that street, that there wasn't a clue.
Something. I know. I thought the same thing. I mean, he would walk them around outside.
Yeah.
Having a child there and everything. I mean, you would think that there would have been something that would tip some people off, but apparently not. I mean, what a horrific situation. I mean, that was just
that's insane. That is just
so.
Saying I don't know anything to say that can do anything except increase the awe of the fact that something like that happened. And then, like, even the police setup, the one thing that was chilling when that happened was the dispatchers and the first police that were interviewed. When the word came out that the girls had been found, everybody assumed that it was their bodies that had been found.
Yeah.
That they were found alive was just
amazing. Yeah, it was really, really something.
And then Amanda's little girl has to be within a year or two of the age she was when she first got abducted.
That first report was comedy gold when he said a white woman running into a black man. It's a horrible situation. Yeah, that guy was a hell of a character.
He was a hell of a character, but then you read the end of the story that you sent to me when we were doing show prep, where they said their only regret was that they took the girls to the police. They should have taken them to the hospital. They should have taken them somewhere, let them call in a little bit later. He says because he didn't think about it till afterwards. But what he should have done is had him and his buddies sneak into the house and wait for Ariel to come home and take him downstairs and give him a taste of his own medicine.
Yeah.
That
guy, that was like, I mean, maybe we should save for next week, but I mean, we're still waiting for John King.
Okay.
Yes or not. I got a cold, so I'm hoping he joins us soon.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. I feel like garbage though. But anyways, the only thing that baffles me about that whole thing, now please don't get upset when I say this, but everything just happened 10 years gone, all of a sudden, trial, house is gone, guy kills himself, everything is swept under the rug, and we don't hear about it a whole lot anymore.
Right.
It was just amazing how everything kind of just happened all of a sudden out of nowhere. We find these girls have been missing forever.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, there's a trial, kind of, I guess.
Yeah.
The house is gone. Everything is gone.
It's old news.
He's dead. Everything's gone.
Yeah. See, that's why, no offense taken, because I will not, I've said this on stage and probably will continue to say this on stage. That is why I am totally opposed to the death penalty. Because if the average age is 80, 86, 90 years old, we should keep those people locked up every single day and let everybody parade by them with a joint and a beer, getting a blowjob, going, we're not in here, we're not in. That's what I would do, because it's too easy. And if you are going to kill the person, they should die the exact same way they killed their victims.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. Now, don't you find it odd? Do you think he actually killed himself? Or do you think this is kind of like a setup to make it happen? Or what do you think?
No. There's a couple people that don't do well in prison, and child molesters are one of them.
But supposedly he was on kind of suicide watch, and he was supposed to be watched at all times. And yeah. I don't think that I'm with you on that one.
And I don't know if you watched the White House Correspondents' Dinner, but they talked about Jerry Epstein being in
Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein being in lockdown in the most secure place in Manhattan. They got to him too.
I hate to say white on white. I don't necessarily think it was white on white. And Errol Castro, I don't think was he white?
Yeah.
Castro,
no. And you know what? The thing about it is, this goes back to what I was talking about, it being more the skin color is so superficial when you travel, because it's just doesn't make any difference. Everybody bleeds the same, wants the same, et cetera, et cetera. But it's just, it's what's in your. So there is evil in the world, period.
That's for sure.
There just is.
Still no John King. We do have the.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm getting a call. Hang on. I'm getting a call.
I do want to revisit this. I think.
Yeah, what's up?
I think it was the 8th is the actual date. So we'll revisit that.
You're on StreamYard? Okay, I'll tell Seth.
No, he's not. He's not there.
Phone. He claims he's there.
No, he would not be there. Otherwise, I would have put him on. So that would be very interesting.
I don't know. Did you push the button that says enter the studio? Okay.
Wait, here he is.
I'll see you in a minute.
There he is.
Bye.
So you got to hit that button that says enter studio.
That's what I asked him because it's a mistake I made once.
All right, let's bring him on. The real John King. How are you?
Bingo.
Good. How you doing? Let me turn my phone off here so it won't interrupt the broadcast. Put it on airplane mode. You know what? I could only I didn't see the enter the studio button because it was I needed to scroll up, and I'm old. I'm not into I'm not familiar with a lot of this technology. I'm sitting here going. I know I'm supposed to be on at 5, so my fault. A good thing I had my other phone so I could call and find out what was happening.
You are all good, my friend. Good to have you on. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You and Mike are doing something cool. You guys got this charity thing that you guys are working on. Mike, go ahead.
Well, I saw John after way too long, but we did the church in Medina last Tuesday. We were there, and we figured out in the green room between everybody that was on that bill, Jay Bach and Bill Benden and Eric was there and John was there and I was there, and I know I'm leaving a couple people out. I don't have the flyer sitting in front of me, but there was over 250 years of stage experience in the green room.
Yep.
Those people saw one hell of a show.
Yeah. It was fun too, man.
Yeah.
Right. Let me ask you this though. You don't get offended easily, do you?
No, I never get offended. I'm a stand-up, been doing it for almost 40 years. I done heard and seen everything. Ain't nothing gonna offend me.
So you were in Medina at a church. What was it like being the only black guy out there?
It did not bother me at all. I'm gonna tell you why. Because a lot of the shows I do are in areas like Medina, and there's no black population there. I'm the only black guy in the room a lot, man. So it doesn't bother me at all. There was an old line I used to do back in the day, man, where I would come out and it'd just be a big audience of white people. I start off by saying, "Look like I'm pretty much the only chip in the cookie tonight," and it would always get a laugh, and that's part of connecting with your audience, man. If you can poke fun at yourself, then you can connect with them and then poke fun of other people.
I'm just joking around with you, but
I have an example of that. I have an example of that too. I was on a cruise, and the entire ship, back in the day when there was no internet and stuff like that, everybody belonged to clubs, and once a year they'd go have a party. So this ship was rented out, and every passenger on the cruise was a lesbian. And they had said to me, try to stay in your cabin. They don't want to see a lot of men, yada, yada, yada. It's their week. And it's like, fine, pay me to stay in my cabin. I don't care. I'll read books. Well, the first night out, the comic canceled. And I get a panic call from the cruise director going, their comic didn't show up. Can you fill in tonight? And I said, yeah. And just like you said, John, about make fun of yourself, build the bridge and connect with your audience. I walked out on stage, I grabbed the microphone, I looked at a whole room full of women and said, I was taking a shower to get ready for the show. I looked down and I saw my penis, and I thought to myself, oh my God, I have really overpacked for this cruise.
Yeah.
Rest of the show went fine.
Yep.
Sometimes how did you know that you were a comic, John? Because you are a comic. Some people want to be, but just like waitresses and bartenders, real comics are born, not made. When did you know?
Man, this story goes way back, man. See, when I was in, I would say grade school, junior high school, maybe, I was like always, not always, but a lot of time I was the shortest and thinnest guy in class. And I had no big brothers or big sisters that attended that school. So the people that wanted to, show how tough they were, or all the bullies, they gonna pick the easy target, and that was always me. So I found out real early that in order to not be the target, you 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 have to somehow be in the clique. So I learned how to be funny because that'll
There you
keep their
go.
mind off of like punching me out or exclude me from the clique. So then when I got in the fifth grade, man, I had almost perfected being funny, man. So my fifth grade teacher said, John, you always trying to make people laugh, so we're gonna give you some time on Friday, and you prepare whatever you want to do, and see if you can make the class laugh. So I did, man. I came to class that day, man, and I had me a little routine prepared, and it went over well, man. So the bug kind of hit me real early. I never really pursued comedy until I was working a job in Birmingham, Alabama. I was in my late 20s, and a comedy club opened up in town, and I was already making coworkers laugh at work. And they said,
Yeah.
"Man, there's a comedy club in town. You ought to go over there and cause you are funny. Go over there and see if you could, get some work over there or blah blah, blah 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 blah." So that's what I did, man. I just went over there and tried open mic night, and it went over well, and I've been hooked ever since. That was in 1984. That was in June of 1984.
That's right about when I started.
Yep.
So do you do more? Where do you play normally? Are you playing around here normally, or do you travel to do shows, or what do you do?
I do travel. I do limited travel dates though, because dude, I'm 68 years old, and being in a car now for more than 2 or 3 hours, I start getting sleepy, and my arthritis kick in, and I start getting stiff and sore, and start getting claustrophobic, and I'll be like, I got to get out this dang on car, man. So I limit I limit my travel as much as possible. I try to stay regional, but I will go to the adjacent state. I mean, I go to Indiana, West Virginia, Michigan, stuff like that, Kentucky. But I try not to go out too far. There's a lot of stage time in Northeast Ohio. I'm not really trying to make any serious money or be famous or be on TV or the movies or anything. I'm just doing it for the pure fun of it right now.
So it's a good outlet for you just to go be funny. That's awesome. I mean, that's why
Yeah,
I love doing this show because
yeah, yeah.
it's just
It's a
fun for
good
me to get on, and be able to do something I love. So that's
yeah.
very cool.
Do
Yeah,
you,
it's a good outlet for me to go and be around peers, people that like doing comedy, and I don't have to be stuck up in the house, man. Because I retired in 2019 after about a couple of months, man. I was like, man, I got to get the hell out of here and go do something. So I did, man. I went and started doing open mics, and I didn't say anything to the younger comments that I had been doing it before. I just went in and just started writing new jokes and doing open mics, man. And then after a while, I got the rust off, and people were starting to offer me money. And I was like, hey, maybe I should get back in this full time, and started writing more jokes, man. Started getting more offers, and started working more stages. And pretty soon, I was doing some stuff locally, man, and making a couple
Uh,
dollars and having a ton of fun doing it.
Now, did you have any influences in comedy, or did you just figure out that you were a funny dude and just wanted to do it?
Nah, man, I had a lot of influence in comedy. Now, you got to remember my age, man. So I'm going way back, man. I used to always gravitate towards comedians when I was a kid. I would gravitate towards comedy and just about any of the performing arts, music, comedy. And I used to watch a lot of Red Skelton show. I Love Lucy. What else? Uh, Ed Sullivan show. Richard Pryor back in the 70s had a show. It was short lived. Red Fox, just all of that. anything that had anything to do with comedy, stand up or sketch, man. I used to
Now,
just love watching it.
somebody has a good question. Do you feel like you have to adapt your material as people become more sensitive to everything? Is it a different kind of culture now?
Oh yeah, yeah, I do, because my thing is it's not about me, man. It's about the audience. Because without the audience members buying them tickets and buying them drinks and buying that food, we wouldn't have no place to work, man. So I forget about what I want to do. I mean, I still get to do a lot of stuff that I like doing, but I don't want anybody to come to a show and leave there going, I was offended. You know, that guy was too abrasive. You know, he stayed on sensitive subjects and he made me feel guilty. I want the people to leave there saying they had a fun, man. You know, had a lot of fun, and that way they'll come back.
Mike?
You do you remember any of your earliest material? You ever think back about some of the stuff that you used to do on stage that would kill back in the day and how
Yeah,
things evolve and stuff like that?
yeah,
And
man.
if you do remember one, share one with us.
Let me think, man. I remember when I first got in, that movie Gremlins was out, and I wrote a bit about Gremlins, and I cringe when I see that material now, man. And I'm trying to think. I was talking about if Gremlins would have came to my neighborhood, they wouldn't have ran us out of town. We probably would have barbecued a few of them and some it was along those lines, man. And I look at it now and going, it seemed like it was funny at the time, but I don't know.
Because I'll be honest with you, man. The first time I went up on stage at the Comedy Store was like for open mic. It was amateur night. It was my first time on stage, and I sucked, but it felt like home. I loved every minute of it. It was like, this is what I was born to do. I'm being on stage, holding a microphone, looking at an audience. One of the first jokes I ever did was I went to a Chinese porno film. An hour later, I was horny again.
That's good. That's still funny today.
But that passed for like, hey, I'm a writer.
Do you know when you're bombing?
Oh, yeah.
You know when you're having a bad night?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah,
There's times you're not bombing and they're still sitting there with their thumb up their ass, but it is what it is.
Hey, man. Hey, Seth. Your name's Seth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing about comedy, especially doing it live, is everything is immediate. You get you can feel the energy, you can feel the energy from the laughter. You can know whether you're doing well or whether people like you or don't like you. And if a joke don't hit and you don't get no laughs, you know and feel that right away.
See, I did radio I've done radio for 25 years. And when you tell a joke on the radio, you don't know if anybody's laughing or not. You just sit there and say, well, I think that was funny. Yeah. And you kind of go with it. I can imagine being on stage and staring at people would just suck if they're not any kind of reaction and are just sitting there.
It does suck. It does suck, man. I remember the first time I went on stage, I don't even know how I did. I don't even know how they reacted because I had so many damn beers before I went up. What had happened was I went to the club and I told the owner that I wanted to do, amateur night. And he said, all right, he said, go and write 5 minutes worth of material and come back next week. So I came back the next week and he said, all right, he turned the lights on. And this was he told me to come like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He turned the stage lights on, turned the mic on. He said, all right, go up and see what you do. I said, well, ain't no people here. He said, well, I just want to see what kind of material you got. So I did the material that I had, which was way too lengthy and too wordy. Took forever to get to the punchline. So afterwards, he said, I tell you what, he said, you go back and work on it and come back in 2 weeks. And I was like, 2 weeks? I said, man, I had some coworkers that were supposed to came over because it was a Tuesday, it was the same night in Amsterdam. I said they were supposed to come over and see me tonight. He said, well, how many coworkers were supposed to come? I said 25. He said, "I'll tell you what, you come back tonight at 7:00."
There you go.
Gunner wants to know, who are your influences now, like to do your comedy? Is it other comedians, your family, friends, current events? Like, what kind of stuff do you use to write comedy or to do your jokes?
Man, everything is potential material. I do some topical stuff. My family and friends always say stuff funny, man. And with the internet, there's just so much craziness and just so much material out there. Just life in general, man. Everything is potential material. There's material everywhere. Dude, I got 3 notebooks right now full of jokes that I haven't even tried yet. I just every time I get a thought, I write it down, and I haven't even tried the jokes yet. But I think I done got lost. Even what the question was. You said who was
Like,
some of
what
my
are your
influences?
influences as far as when you do write with your jokes? Like, are you using comedians, your family, friends, or current events, that kind of thing? Just
all
everything?
of all of the above. Like I'm gonna give an example. I went to CVS a couple of days ago, and I went in because I really like ice cream. And it was like I don't know, maybe 9 o'clock, 9:30 at night. So I went in. I go back to the ice cream case. They got a padlock on the ice cream, man. So you got to go and get a cashier to come back there with a key to unlock it to get some damn ice cream. And I come back to check out, and I'm thinking, I go, man, they got the ice cream locked up, but their cashier and their cash register is right here out in the opening. I said, there got to be something funny about that, man. I'm like, what the hell does Ben and Jerry have in their ice cream, and what does Haagen-Dazs have a secret ingredients that they need to lock the ice cream up? I just don't I just don't get it. I haven't tried to joke yet, but there got to be something funny there, man. They have ice cream locked up. I mean, a $4 pint of ice cream is locked up, but you don't give a damn about your workers and all the money,
kidding.
all the stuff that's worth something is in the cash register. I don't see them in no booth. They just right out there in the opening.
How'd you get hooked up with Mike for all this stuff?
How did I get hooked up with Mike?
Chiselka, yeah.
What do you mean hooked up for? What do you mean? Hooked up?
Is it Mike? Part of the charity stuff?
Oh yeah. No, see,
Yeah,
I know Mike from back in the day, man. We used to work some of the same rooms for some of the same agents and some of the same circuits. But I got out for a while, and I wasn't in touch with a lot of people, man. But then when this charity came along for, what is it, East Palestine?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know Jay Bach, so we both know Jay, and he just got a bunch of us old school dudes, man, to get together and to do that show, which was last Tuesday. But I had actually talked to Mike before that. He friended me on Facebook, and we corresponded back and forth. And but that was the first, last Tuesday was the first time we had actually seen each other, been in the same place for a long time.
Yeah. And it's basically the same story John was talking about when he decided to get back into it. I see him on Facebook and on some of the comedy sites, and he's really active from here to Youngstown and back again, hosting shows and headlining shows and stuff like that. So it's like, I don't know any of the people he knows, and those are the people that can make me work again. So yeah. I friended him. First time I've seen him last week in at least 20 years.
Yeah. And I sent Michael some contacts and some names and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the key for me, Mike, was I just said, I work wherever I can get on the stage, whether it's for money or not money.
Gotcha.
And I don't care what position it is. If they want me to host, I'll host. If they want me to do a guest spot, a feature spot, a headline spot, I really don't care. At this point, I just want to get on stage and make people laugh. I don't care what position it is. I got no ego. I ain't chasing no dreams. I'm doing it purely for the fun of it and to be around people. And I could suck the energy from some of these younger people, because Lord knows I need it, So that's.
You have any more dates coming up?
Yeah, I got quite a few dates coming up.
How do people check you out?
They can check me out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Man, I'm the real John King. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm the real John King on Instagram. I'm real John King comedian on YouTube, and I'm John W. King on Facebook.
Is there
And
another
how about some
John
dates?
King?
There's a lot of John Kings, man. When I go to my bank, they have to get my phone number or address to look me up because there's so many damn John Kings that's banking with them. And just clear across the country, man. Everywhere I go, John King is a very popular name. So I got the name the real John King from a guy named John King when I was working a day job in Birmingham. He used to come in the break room because I was employed there first. So he would come in the break room and he'd go, now there go the real John King right there. So when I started doing amateur night, the MC said, how you want to be introduced? I say, well, everybody call me the real John King, so that's cool. So
That'll
the
work.
name just stuck.
Now, I told you coming on and stuff like that don't be shy and go ahead and toot your own horn. You got some shows coming up, a lot of people listening. Let them know where they can come check you out and hear some of that stuff we're talking about.
Oh, you know what? Where's my schedule at? Hold on for 1 second. I'm gonna get off the camera for 1 second. Hold on.
While
There
he's
you
looking
go.
for the schedule, go to the waystationinc.org. The waystationinc.org. You can donate there to
Yeah.
the people of East Palestine, and then get yourself your receipt, and that gets you into these comedy shows on Tuesday night. Next Tuesday, I think the 9th, he said, right? The 9th
Yeah.
is going to be at the Funny Stop in Cuyahoga Falls.
Right.
So-
Next Tuesday, the 2nd is Crackpots.
Tomorrow? Tomorrow's Crackpots?
Tomorrow's Crackpots, and then next week is Funny Stop.
Where's Crackpots?
Crackpots is in Canton, Massillon.
Massillon. Okay, so Crackpots in Massillon tomorrow, and then next Tuesday, Cuyahoga Falls, the Funny Stop.
Funny Stop. Yep.
Yeah,
All right.
and for me, Seth, I don't know if you know, I don't know if you read my bio, but I'm also a musician.
Nice.
Yeah, so I play harmonica, and I'm actually gonna be doing a music gig on the 5th in Strongsville. It's called the Market District. I play with another guy that plays lead guitar. We are a blues duo. It's called a Parker King Blues Duo. That's on the 5th. The 12th and 13th, I'll be doing the Funny Farm. And on the 20th of this month, I'll be in Wilmington, which is right outside of Chicago, a place called Tuffy's. That's on the 20th. The 25th, I'll be in Willowick doing Bar Farno. And then on the 27th, I'll be doing Dayton. That's what I got in May. Then I got some more stuff in June. I don't know if you want me to plug that or not.
Man, you're all over the place. That's good.
Yeah, he is.
That's awesome.
And like I said, we're friends, and I keep up with where John's at and this, that, and the other thing. So anybody wants to email, just email the show, guys, and I'll let you know. I'll find out where John's at and let you know too. I'm gonna do something because I'm motivated, spur of the moment, is what it is, what it is. Are you anywhere close to a harmonica? You got one within arm's reach?
I do not. I probably got 100 of them, but they're all downstairs.
We'll get him on another time. We'll play some harmonica.
Yeah, we'll bring you on another time for that. I was going to have you play yourself out, but that's okay.
I would have been more than happy to do that, but I'm up in my bedroom right now, and I don't have any harmonicas up here.
Okay.
I did.
Yeah. You play a different instrument upstairs, huh?
Yeah, that's right. I'll be putting in. Hey, Mike,
he's a solo artist upstairs. He only plays one other partner, right?
I'll be putting in that work too, brother.
Are you married?
I am married.
So you're definitely a solo artist then. Yeah, we understand.
Yep, I've been married for 40 years.
You definitely are a solo artist at this point. Yes.
Same woman.
Well, congratulations on that, though. That's very cool. And thank you for being part of this charity. I know the people of East Palestine appreciate it. And I know that you guys have been doing some great shows. And so thank you for doing that, my friend.
Hey, thank y'all for having me, man. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Yep. We do appreciate it. And we'll have you on again to play the harmonica at some point. So
yeah, definitely. I'd be more than happy to come back and do it again.
Beautiful.
Right. Thank you. Real John King. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right.
Thank you, buddy.
He seems like a very cool guy. Love doing
Yes.
I'm going to get out of here in a couple minutes because I do want to. I'm not feeling all that great, but I do want to hit the Browns real quick.
Sure.
Should we take a break first? Or no?
Yeah, let's take a break.
Take a break real quick. We'll talk about the Browns real quick, and we'll be right back.
All right.
Hey, it's Seth from Mario's Barbershop in Parma, 7526 Broadview Road in the Pleasant Valley Shopping Center right next to Big Lots. You got to check out Mario, man. Great guy, does a lot for charities, but can perform miracles with hair. He even made me look clean cut. Does my hair, does a great job. Love talking to the guy while I'm sitting there. It's a great place to go, local business. You gotta go to Mario's Barbershop in Parma. Mario's Barbershop in Parma, 7526 Broadview Road. Again, in Parma, Pleasant Valley Shopping Center, right next to Big Lots. Or give them a call, 216-520-1977. That's 216-520-1977. Mario's Barbershop in Parma.
Trust Joe's Lakewood Computer at 14035 Madison in Lakewood. They have over 30 years of professional service handling laptop and desktop repair services, virus removal, and data migration, and much more. You can trust them with hardware updates to your computer's memory and hard drive. Call 216-651-3880. Whether you need a simple Windows install or you're interested in the latest computers for gaming, call Joe's Lakewood Computer at 216-651-3880.
This is Tim Elkhorn, radio voice of the Cleveland Cavaliers, for attorney Will Spiegelberg. Will Spiegelberg is not only a name you know, he's someone you can trust as your attorney, no matter the circumstance. Will Spiegelberg is an attorney you can always count on. Will Spiegelberg is the attorney you should contact for all your legal work. When you need an attorney, call Will Spiegelberg at 216-233-4240. Attorney Will Spiegelberg, a great teammate. 216-233-4240.
All right, back here on the Seth Williams Show with Mike Juselka. Talking about the Browns real quick. Browns had their draft. Of course, no first-round picks,
no second-round either.
Round picks. So they got a bunch of other stuff. And didn't they trade like a something for
they
a
traded
six-round pick next year?
Yeah, they got a 6th-round pick for next year from
Jesus.
Baltimore. Before we get into the actual names, one of the interesting articles I saw talking about the Browns was there was one theme to this year's Browns draft, and that was size. They started out and took a receiver who was 6'3", and Cedric Tillman out of Tennessee. And then they took a defensive lineman who's 6'3", 335.
Okay, the Tennessee pick, I'm going to go through these kind of quick because,
yeah,
really great. The Tennessee pick, I didn't really understand it. I mean, the receiver they should have got went the pick before from Tennessee. They picked a guy that got hurt, and who knows how this, the surgery went or how this thing is going to actually pan out. Hopefully it pans out okay. It looks like he could have some talent, but again, why you're picking some guy that has a history of injuries, and when you need a guy like that,
and it's kind of interesting.
Receiver.
They had these guys out for one-on-one visits, and this guy was a high school teammate of the quarterback from UCLA that they picked for developmental reasons too.
Now that guy, again, I don't understand. What was it, Denard Robinson or whatever?
Right. I think they're not looking to the draft for starters. They're looking for guys that they can keep on the bench and let them learn for a couple of years and develop into good pros.
No.
We haven't had that luxury before.
I guess.
We're like the Dutch boy trying to plug holes in the dike with 11 holes and 10 fingers.
We
got the largest human being on the face of the earth that tackle out of Ohio State in the 4th round. They came in. He's 6'8". DeJuan Jones is a projected right tackle who comes in, who will show up at 6'8" and 374 pounds.
Whew. That's a big boy.
That's huge. That is just huge. They
see what happens there, Chris.
Drafted another guy that's 6'4", 274. I mean, these are one of the free agents they signed is 6'3" and 325.
Now, when I picked the quarterback, I saw a bunch of UCLA games, and look, the kid has some flashes of talent.
Yeah.
But you paid $1 billion basically for
Deshaun.
Watson. What are you doing? I mean, I guess you need somebody as a backup if he gets hurt.
See, I don't know what's going on with this team,
Or
but
is he going to be a quarterback, or is he going to be something else?
this guy that they has been and worked out and gone to a couple of the camps and trained with Deshaun Watson already. So the way these guys all know each other. How about the fact that they picked 4 guys from Ohio State? They haven't picked 4 guys from Ohio State the previous 10 years.
Yeah, but you can't really go wrong, I guess, with Ohio State guys. I mean,
Well, yeah, I'm not saying everybody's going to be a star, but it's just
If-
that they all know each other. The
if
guy
they
that
played-
they picked from Northwestern knows Greg Newsome. They played together.
if they play Detroit Lions, they're probably going to lose because apparently Ohio State can't beat Michigan at this point. So hopefully the Lions aren't on the schedule.
No, but you know what is on the schedule, coincidentally? Who did Aaron Rodgers get traded to?
The Jets.
Yes, and guess who the Browns play at the Hall of Fame game in Canton?
The Jets?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thursday, September 21st. Oh,
See,
no,
I like Aaron Rodgers. He seems to be kind of like a prima donna kind of guy. I didn't think he was going to be that when he started.
Yeah.
But it seems that way. I think he's gotten caught up in the Hollywood lifestyle, having all these celebrity women that he dates and all that kind of stuff. And so, again, concentrate on football. Football careers aren't very long.
No.
Concentrate on a damn game for a little while, and then you can have sex with whoever you want to have sex with.
I think it's
Get
kind of
whatever
interesting.
massages you want to get after you're done with football.
Thank you. I think they're trying something different this year. Have you heard that they're opening training camp up at the Greenbrier Hotel in West Virginia?
Good for them. Yeah.
The first 2 weeks of camp are going to be in the West Virginia mountains, away from everybody else, family, friends, entourage. And if they want to do the team a favor, they'll collect everybody's cell phones and just have them concentrate on learning how to play football.
See, I heard that they were opening camp at the Sunny Massage Parlor down in Strongsville.
Yeah. Well, I've said before, and I'll say it again. This year, Deshaun Watson has to play with a chip on his shoulder. He has to play like a man who's been rubbed the wrong way.
You always need a backup QB. The wide receiver pick is sensible because they really only have 2 reliable pass catchers. Look, I'm not saying that the wide receiver, we didn't need a wide receiver. What I'm saying is that I wish, obviously the guy that I wanted was picked before the guy that we got, but there wasn't anybody out there that doesn't have a history of injury problems or have a major injury problem where he had to have surgery or whatever. That just worries me a little bit.
Yeah. It's a crapshoot. All these mock drafts come out for months and months and months. As soon as the Super Bowl's over, all the mock drafts come out. And if you line up everybody who's a draft expert and getting hundreds of thousands of dollars for being a draft expert, they're lucky if they guessed 6 people that went to the team they said they were going to go to in the round they said they were going to go to.
Mel Kiper had that Levis kid from Kentucky all the way up the he's one of the top 4 players in the draft.
He's supposed to go number 4 to Indianapolis, and what'd he go? Day 2 to somebody.
Yeah, day 2 he ends up getting picked. I think the Titans picked him up.
Yeah,
but so you never know what these guys. These guys that predict these drafts are like the weather guys. They say what the hell they want to say. They can pull out a few highlights of this kid doing something great, and then they try to predict what they're going to be like in the NFL. Most of the time, they suck. And you can really pick out the ones that are supposed to be great. I could pick out the ones that are supposed to be great and end up doing a decent job. Mel Kiper's, those kind of guys, whatever. I don't trust anything they say. They're as good as the weather girl on 19. It's way hot, but still. Cuts are going to be crazy this year. All cut players will be cut on the same day. You'll see roster chaos that day.
Exactly. There's good news and bad news of that. They get 2 weeks longer to look at the players, but then they all have to go overnight. That's just insane. And I wonder if some of that is to really mess with the other football leagues.
There's so many out there right now. That's the other thing. Is that when is
kill the golden goose? We just
is the USFL and the XFL, are those going to become like the training grounds maybe for?
Who knows? They'll be the G League of the NFL.
Well, you never know, right?
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing I am tired of. And this pissed me off during the playoffs and during the second half, the last few weeks of the Cavaliers season. And it's going to be even worse on football, and they do it in baseball. I don't need to be reminded what all the odds are during the game and how the odds have changed and how there's still time to place a bet because Cleveland was favored by 5 points. But now they're, now they're 4-point dogs. So if you want to move your money around, go right ahead. This thing with gambling, I don't like it. I don't need it, and it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, I'm over the gambling thing. I don't remember. I can't remember if I even paid for my fantasy football last year. So whatever. I'm kind of done with that. We'll see what happens. I mean, I think it's a draft for the Browns.
Yeah. Training, the rookie camp's in a couple weeks. So it's time, folks. Just think, maybe we get a couple sunny days because pretty soon it'll be football season. It'll be cold again.
Yep. Well, I appreciate the show tonight. Good job, Mike. Thank you.
You too, Seth.
Thanks to the real John King for joining us. Wednesday night, Tony Masaccio will be live from somewhere. We'll see. I'm sure he's chowing down on something great that we won't be a part of.
No kidding.
But we'll have a good time. Thanks for everybody joining us this evening. Much appreciated. Don't forget you can listen to the show again because it's podcast everywhere. And God willing, we'll talk to you Wednesday night.
All right, feel better. I'll see you Wednesday, bro.
Appreciate it. Thank you.